What's up, YouTube? I just finished teaching a morning jiu-jitsu session, and one of our new students here inspired me to make this video, and it's about learning. It's progression, so you can get to the place that you want to be at. We get into the warm-up, we get into a technique, and in class, I think it's important to have a portion where you can go really slow and not be expected to know anything. You can take your time with details, and if you do jiu-jitsu or even Muay Thai, any martial arts really, there's so many details that we want to get right. And it takes me back to lifting for the first time, and I got so focused into the details and trying to memorize every single detail because I wanted to get it right. Like, I'm the person who wants to get every single thing right from, let's say, a perfectionist point of view. To an extent, you can get certain details so you can have the feeling of progression and getting it correct. But in the martial arts, you have like hundreds, thousands, 10,000 different ways to point out details. And especially with context, it can become infinite at that point. So the idea is to give the simplest details, the ones that would stick out just for the lesson plan at the moment, build upon that and taking your time. I can see myself in the new student trying to get all the things that I'm trying to say and then looking to me for, verification that each detail was obtained. Right? I may have talked about 10 different ones, and I'm focused on allowing the mental space to select a focus, right? Like a group of details. So I would tell everyone, just focus on maybe 2, maybe even 3 details maximum, so that way you can feel like you're getting it. When you're getting those 3 details, then maybe you can take on another chunk, but that's already extending the connection between what you're trying to learn and getting your body to actually perform it. So that's like the learning part of class. Lots of support, lots of teaching, lots of explanations as needed. But obviously we want to get to the working part, the performance part, where we can let go of the details, recall the ones that are needed in the specific moment that you actually have to be able to discern, right? Like, the moment itself calls for the details that I had explained. And I like to build my classes that the techniques that we're using is going to be the theme of the situational spar, whether it's in jiu-jitsu, Filipino martial arts, or Muay Thai. I like to teach that way because the game is just too infinite and too dynamic to really hone in on something. So I'm going to work with him for about like 4 rounds, right? Because we have a very small group this morning. First round, I let him know that I'll facilitate the tension or the pressure in such a way that the only answer is the technique that we worked on. Today we worked on side control escape. Right? We have a really basic framing, shrimp, and then regard. And then some sweep that I know that he knows. That will become the creative part. But I'm facilitating the escape. So round 1, I want you to acclimate to this game and to what your goal is. You're going to meet the pressure that will take away the focus of the details. I think everybody goes through that. And we're looking to connect to the details in that moment. So that's my explanation to him. So he tries it, and the context is now starting to build. He's connecting to the details. Oh, that's why we frame. Oh, that's why we use this part of the elbow to push instead of trying to push with the hands. That's why I move my hips. And I can see the connections happening to him in the very first round. And that requires a training partner that understands how to facilitate the win for the beginner. And I like to do that with a lot of white belts. Round is over. Give him some mental space. Don't want to debrief him with a plethora of different other details that connect to it and hard to process the task at hand because there's more options, right? So since I know about that, I stay contained within the experience, and I let him know in round 2, we're going to do the same exact thing. However, I'm going to be a bit more stubborn. Right? I'm not going to let you have your details, but at a rate that you can adjust during flight while you get to still have a degree of struggle. So that way I can start building a rapport, right? Trust. I think it's really important to have trust when you train with somebody brand new, especially with a skill gap and lots of years of experience. And that way you could bring them up, because it's more about them learning than me being already at some sort of end destination. So I give him a little bit more pressure. I probably turned up maybe 5-6% if I were to give it any type of number. And then he's like, oh, okay. He understands what the pressure I'm doing at that time. More heavy pressure, not being dynamic with him just yet. I'm just trying to be stronger, if I were to make it simpler. Round 2 is over. He understands it. He's applying now, right? So in the first round, it's acclimating. Second round is applying. And he's no longer focused on details. He's more like, oh, I have to use this stuff now. Third round, I say, I'm going to give you a little bit more pressure, but this time I'm going to introduce to you dynamics, things that I didn't explain just yet. And I think it's important for you to be creative in the moment and adjust in flight. Maybe a push that I explained earlier, you need to change the angle. Maybe you need to be a little bit more, you need to be stronger with it. Or maybe you have to do it out of order. Whatever those things are, you get to be the autonomous fighter at this point. So it's an introduction to fighting in the third round. So we go into the third round. I'm a bit more stubborn. I give him a little bit more pressure. Now I'm like moving his hand. I'm moving his leg out of the way. I'm changing directions. I'm trying to pin something. I'm not letting him use his tools. So we end the third round, and I can see more of the light bulbs connecting. And I really liked to see that progression inside of a student. And he was, simply having a good time with that. He's like, feels skill actually building. Now we're at the fifth round. The fifth round, I told him, all right, now I'm going to introduce to you more of the uncertainty. I'll actually apply some of my skill. I'll change more directions. I'll do certain things that you may not have even seen before. But I want you to see that each round is progressive to introduce to you what jiu-jitsu is in layers. Say, okay, cool. So now in the fifth round, he's like a bit more opened up. He can see, he's like, oh, okay, I've never seen that before. Right? Like I told him things that he would expect, the unexpected. Right? Like it helps open his mind up to do that kind of practice with this, with the stress that comes along with sparring, right? And I think that's a bit more acceptable these days, because back in the day, it was not like that. It was just sink or swim. Fortunately, I was able to survive that. There's still some more stuff in there that I'm building for myself, but martial arts lifestyle, right? Always 1% every day, constant and never-ending improvement. In a nutshell, though, at the end of the fifth round, I basically did the recap that I'm doing right now on the video with him. So the next class is already prepared before the next class even happens. Right? I'm like mentally preparing him. And what I've learned here through the act of teaching, preparing for the class is important, but at the end of the class, preparing the mental stuff at the end, I think is really important too. Because we go home, we got YouTube, you can get lost in a bunch of techniques. You can get any mentor that you want without even meeting them. So I think it's really important to help guide a person through with such an abundance of information, so that way they can cut through the noise, have some sort of place like an on-site academy like Impact here in Virginia Beach. So that way you can feel streamlined and where all of the knowledge converge. That way you can have a much better experience, your growth is intentional, it's clear, and you already know what to expect. So now the only thing that's left over is you going through it and earning it for yourself. I think that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching, guys.